Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lynn. Namaskar. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. PM Modi en route to the UK for strategic talks. Much touted trade pact on the cards. President Trump unveils new trade deals with Japan, Philippines and Indonesia as Asia navigates tariff pressures and strategic shifts. Russia and Ukraine resume peace talks in Turkey after 7-week hiatus. India gets off to a solid start. The openers add 78 runs against England in the first session of the fourth test at Old Trafford. Prime Minister Narendra Modi embarked on an official visit to the United Kingdom on Wednesday afternoon. The PM will be in the UK from July 23 to 24. This is the fourth visit of Prime Minister Modi to the UK. Now, during his visit, Prime Minister will hold talks with his British counterpart, Keir Starmer. He will also meet King Charles III. On the second leg of his two-nation visit, the Prime Minister will be visiting the Maldives from July 25th to the 26th. At the invitation of President Dr. Mohamed Muizzu. The Prime Minister will take part in the 60th Independence Day celebrations of Maldives. The India-UK trade pact negotiations, for which were wrapped up in May this year and which is on the brink of formalization at the time when Prime Minister Narendra Modi is visiting the UK, is expected to double bilateral trade by over $100 billion by 2030. DD India's Gautam Roy has spoken to the UK-India Business Council Chair, Richard Heald. Let's listen.
A lot of anticipation has been built around this trip of Prime Minister Narendra Modi to the UK because of the fact that in May, an announcement was made about the conclusion of all the negotiations as far as the India-UK trade pact is concerned. And to talk about what is really expected this time around in this fourth visit of Prime Minister Modi to the UK, we have with us UK IBC Chair Richard Heald. Welcome to DD India. Richard, what are your expectations as far as this deal is concerned? Because India and UK already are significant trade partners, but where does this deal have the potential to take this partnership to?
This agreement will have a significant impact. It's projected by both governments that by 2030 we may see a doubling, if not more, in terms of trade and services between our two countries. Trade barriers, regulatory environment, ease of doing business, all of these things come into play in the chapters within the FTA, and all of that will allow companies that are not yet involved in UK or in UK companies not yet involved in India, really to take that step and start delivering in-country and generating trade between the two.
Sounds great. Now, how does this pact and the double contributions convention account for the concerns on both sides where the interests of wide range of the farmers and then people who want to study and work from India and the UK and other issues such as the carbon tax are concerned?
Well, I think that the DCC is a really important facet within the FTA. Obviously, the two so separate, the social agreement, social security agreement, DCC, will allow non-double taxation to occur, and therefore it becomes very much more efficient and more effective in relation to migration of quality people between the two countries. This will stimulate more activity, it will stimulate more investment, and it will make the whole working arrangement between the two countries very much more efficient.
Mm. And is there scope for review, if necessary, in this entire pact after some years down the line?
Absolutely. I mean, we haven't seen the agreement. I believe there are 2,000 pages of it, so it's going to take some digesting. But normally, FTA agreements have some degree of review. Obviously, there have been 14 rounds or 15 rounds of negotiation already, so there's been a lot of thought that has gone into how these chapters are going to impact.
And to what extent do you think is global trade being reshaped, what with Donald Trump's tariffs and this slew of multilateral and bilateral deals that different countries are doing, and the hunt for alternative markets as well? Is it going to be a brave new world very soon?
Well, I think we're already in the brave new world, actually. I think that the UK-India trade agreement, free trade agreement, is a symptom of that new world. We are moving from multilateralism, from a rule-based situation that we've had previously, into bilateral, where countries are seeking out ways in which they can strengthen their supply chains, they can cause integration in certain specific areas where they can collaborate, which feeds into economic security.
Lovely. Thank you so much for speaking to DD India. So there you have it, powering through the challenges of today in a bilateral way, in an unprecedented way, will be UK and India, hopefully, where this trip of Prime Minister Modi is concerned. With camera person Sanjay Jaina, Gautam Roy, London, DD India.
Extending India's full support to Bangladesh following the country's worst air disaster in decades, India is sending a team of burn specialists and medical staff to Dhaka to assist victims of Monday's deadly fighter jet crash that killed at least 31 people, most of them children. The Indian team will conduct an initial assessment of the patient's condition and provide recommendations for further treatment, including potential transfer to India for specialized care. The Ministry of External Affairs also noted that additional medical teams may be deployed based on the findings of the preliminary assessment. The fatal crash occurred on Monday when an F-7BGI training jet of the Bangladesh Air Force plummeted into the Milestone School and college campus in the capital's Diyarbari locality during a routine sortie. The impact triggered a massive fire and scenes of widespread panic, with terrified students and staff fleeing for safety. The Bangladesh Army has initiated a formal investigation into the incidents that disrupted rescue efforts following Sunday's deadly military jet crash at Milestone School and College in Dhaka. In a statement issued on Tuesday, Bangladesh's Inter-Services Public Relations Directorate said that the Army is treating the matter seriously and will take disciplinary action against any individuals found responsible for misconduct during the operation. The crash on the 21st of July killed 32 and injured numerous civilians, including children. The rescue efforts were significantly hampered by large crowds of onlookers gathering at the crash site. Many ignored repeated requests to vacate the area, obstructing evacuation efforts and creating a confusion on the ground. The Army acknowledged the disruption and confirmed that 14 personnel involved in the operation became ill due to exhaustion and exposure during the rescue. All are currently receiving treatment at the combined military hospital in Dhaka. After guarding the Indian skies through every major conflict for over 6 decades, the legendary MiG-21 fighter jets are set to retire this September. According to sources, the Indian Air Force will ceremonially decommission the remaining Russian-origin MiG-21 fleet on September 19 at the Chandigarh Air Base. Inducted in 1963, the MiG-21 became a cornerstone of India's aerial defense, with over 700 aircraft acquired across various variants. While the aircraft earned admiration for its stellar performance in various conflicts, recent years have seen its reputation marred by multiple crashes attributed to age-related factors. The final ceremonial flight will be conducted by the 23 Squadron, known as the Panthers, marking not just the end of an era, but a heartfelt farewell to an icon that shaped India's aerial history. Well, it's a special day in Indian history as the nation pays tribute to the freedom fighters born on this day. India's nationalist Bal Gangadhar Tilak was born on the 23rd of July in 1856. He was a teacher, a journalist as well, and an independence activist. Bal Gangadhar Tilak was the Indian independence movement's first leader. He was also given the title of Lokmanya, which means accepted as a leader by the people. And he was dubbed the maker of modern India by Mahatma Gandhi. Bal Gangadhar Tilak was a strong leader in India's consciousness and one of the first and strongest supporters of Swaraj, that means self-rule. Tilak was charged with murder, incitement, and he received an 18-month sentence. He was respected as a martyr and a national hero when he was released from jail in modern-day Mumbai. After this, he declared, "Swaraj is my birthright and I shall have it," unquote. Tilak encouraged the Swadeshi and boycott movements. Well, Prime Minister has remembered Tilak on his birth anniversary, taking to the social media platform X. The Prime Minister said, and I quote, "Remembering Lokmanya Tilak on his birth anniversary, he was a pioneering leader who played a vital role in kindling the spirit of India's freedom movement with unwavering conviction. He was also an outstanding thinker who believed in the power of knowledge and serving others," unquote. Another fearless revolutionary, Chandrasekhar Azad, was also born on this day. His indomitable courage, patriotic fervor, and ultimate sacrifice for Bharat Mata continue to inspire Indians. Azad lived and died with the resolve of never being captured alive, a symbol of unyielding resistance to colonial rule. Prime Minister Modi paid tributes to Chandrasekhar Azad on his birth anniversary. Remembering Azad, the Prime Minister said, and I quote, "He epitomized unparalleled valor and grit. His role in India's quest for freedom is deeply valued and motivates our youth to stand up for what is just with courage and conviction." Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba meets the EU chief Ursula von der Leyen in Tokyo. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar meets his Ukrainian counterpart Andrei Sybiha. They discuss defense cooperation and Iran. And the Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk has reshuffled his government.
This week on Defense Dynamics, India flexes its missile muscle. 3 major test firings in just 24 hours. What's the message? Apache helicopters roar into Jodhpur, India's strike power on the Western Front. Neoma airfield in Ladakh to get commissioned soon. Why it is being called India's strategic launchpad in the Himalayas. And sectarian clashes erupt in Syria. What's fueling the Druze Bedouin conflict? Catch it all this Wednesday at 8 PM IST only on DD India.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Mark Lynn. The US President Donald Trump finalized trade pacts with Japan, Indonesia, and the Philippines. The Trump administration imposed 15% tariffs on Japanese imports, with $550 billion in US investments, a 19% tariff on Philippines goods, coupled with zero duties for US exports and a 19% tariff framework deal with Indonesia, down from the initially proposed 32%. All these deals are part of what Trump calls America First policy and have come after continued hectic negotiations with these partner countries. Here's the report.
US President Donald Trump announced a trade pact with Japan, building on a series of trade-related developments ahead of an August 1st deadline for tariffs to snap back to April 2nd levels. The plan will result in Japan investing $550 billion into the US and paying a 15% reciprocal tariff that will be levied on US imports from the country. While speaking at an event at the White House, Trump said that Japan will form a joint venture with the US for LNG in Alaska. Trump added that representatives from the European Union are coming for trade negotiations with the United States on Wednesday.
But I just signed the largest trade deal in history, I think maybe the largest deal in history, with Japan. And that was done with Japan. They had their top people here, and we worked on it long and hard, and it's a great deal for everybody. And I said to the Japanese trade representatives, and these were the top people, we concluded the one deal, Doug, and now we're going to conclude another one because they're forming a joint venture with us in Alaska, as you know, for the LNG.
Meanwhile, Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba praised the trade deal after Trump lowered the hefty tariffs imposed on its Asian ally.
We have agreed to halve the additional 25% rate imposed since April this year on motor vehicles and automotive parts, bringing the total including the existing rate to 15%. We are the first country in the world to achieve such a reduction in tariffs on motor vehicles and automotive parts without any limits on quantity.
The agreement will bring immediate relief to Japan's critical auto sector, with existing tariffs cut to 15% from 25% and proposed levies on other Japanese goods that were set to come in on August 1st, also cut by the same amount. Trump also stated that he had reached trade agreements with Indonesia and the Philippines. Both deals include 19% tariffs on goods imported from those countries, while American exports to them will remain duty-free. Under the deal, Indonesia will eliminate more than 99% of tariff and non-tariff barriers on U.S. goods, including industrial, technology, and agricultural products. In exchange, the U.S. will lower a proposed 32% tariff on Indonesian imports to 19%. The announcement came following his meeting with Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos at the White House. On April 2nd, Trump announced plans to impose tariffs on goods from all countries. On April 9th, he paused the tariffs for several nations, giving them 90 days to negotiate trade deals. Trump has recently toughened his demands in trade talks with the European Union, insisting on a minimum tariff of 15 to 20%. Bureau Report, DD India.
Japan's Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba met the EU chief Ursula von der Leyen and the European Council President Antonio Costa in Tokyo on Wednesday. The European Commission President told reporters that the European Union and Japan will work more closely to counter economic coercion and address unfair trade practices. Von der Leyen's comments, they came after an EU-Japan summit. The EU struggles to conclude a trade deal with the United States, and a day before potentially tough meetings with Chinese leaders. Von der Leyen said that the EU and Japan would seek to strengthen economic security.
Global competitiveness, and it should benefit everyone. That's why Europe is stepping up cooperation with CPTPP countries, not only to defend open trade, but to shape it. Together, the European Union and CPTPP countries can lead a meaningful reform of the WTO so that global trade rules reflect today's challenges and the risks of tomorrow.
As part of the government reshuffle, the Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk promoted the Foreign Minister Radosław Sikorski to Deputy Prime Minister on Wednesday. The reshuffle aimed at stemming a decline in its approval ratings. Sikorski will continue his position as the Foreign Minister. Meanwhile, the Finance Minister Andrzej Domanski is to become the Minister of Finance and Economy, overseeing all the economic departments in the centrist pro-European government. As part of the reshuffle, Milos Motika from The junior coalition partner PSL is going to head a newly created energy ministry, while the justice ministry will be headed by Judge Waldemar Zurek. Russia and Ukraine will hold their first peace talks in Istanbul on Wednesday after a while. Now the Russian negotiators are flying to Turkey for the talks with the Ukraine. This is going to happen after more than 7 weeks. In fact, Kremlin has said that these negotiations are not going to be easy.
Indeed, our delegation has left for Istanbul, and indeed negotiations are planned there this evening. This will be the third round of Russian-Ukrainian direct negotiations. The issues to be discussed will be principally those related to the draft memoranda that were exchanged during the second round, and there will also be a conversation about continuing the very important process of mutual exchanges of prisoners and bodies. And of course, if necessary, any other issues will be raised, and such decisions will be made by the heads of the delegations.
The Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar met his Ukrainian counterpart Andrei Sibika in Kiev on Wednesday to discuss defense cooperation in Iran. The ministers viewed a captured Iranian-designed Shahid drone used by Russia as Jiran-2 to attack Ukraine. Kiev first accused Iran of supplying Shahid, so-called kamikaze drones, to Russia in autumn of 2022, with Moscow's troops subsequently using them extensively for regular long-range attacks. The Jiran-2 is a Russian-made version based on the Shahid design. Sa'ar said that he said it at a news briefing that the two countries agreed to launch a strategic dialogue on the Iranian threat. Sa'ar also condemned Russian attacks on civilians and urged a stable and enduring resolution for the war that would ensure Ukraine's security. Hundreds of farmers from across France's Occitane region, they've spread manure and garbage and thrown eggs at the offices of the EELV Green Party in Toulouse. This is in response to a petition to repeal the Duplomb law, which aims to reintroduce a pesticide that is banned in France. A Scottish-based partnership is deploying portable 5G network that can be set up on fields, giving farmers the technology they need, even in the most rural areas. The project, led by several research institutions and tech companies, will allow robots to perform these precision tasks, such as monitoring crops' health, also applying fertilizer and detecting pests. The funeral mass of Cardinal André Vingt-Trois began in the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris on Wednesday. The former Archbishop of Paris between 2005 and 2017 died at the age of 82. He had established himself as one of the most influential figures in France. Some sports news now, and openers Yashasvi Jaiswal and KL Rahul led India to a solid start against England in the fourth test at Old Trafford. India were 78 without loss at lunch on the first day, with Jaiswal on 36 and Rahul on 40. Both are unbeaten. This is after the English captain Ben Stokes decided to bowl. Chris Wokes and Jofra Archer subjected Jaiswal and Rahul to several testing overs early on. Earlier, the visitors handed the test debut to seam bowler Anshul Kamboj and also made 3 changes in the playing 11. The Indians are yet to win a test at Old Trafford, following 4 defeats and 5 draws in 9 previous matches. England are leading the 5-match series 2-1. There are few venues in the world, and cricket remains unconquered by Team India in these venues that we're talking about. Old Trafford is one of them. It's a fortress for the British. In fact, the India face England in the 4th test at Old Trafford. It's already begun. Let's look at this ground, rewind history a bit, a century of history, and records that span over a decade. Let's take a look at the Indian records at Manchester.
Old Trafford. The name evokes history, but for India, it echoes heartbreak. From their first match in 1936 under the Maharaja of Vizianagaram that ended in a draw, to their last outing in 2014, where MS Dhoni's side suffered a crushing innings and 54-run defeat, Old Trafford has remained a fortress India is yet to breach. India has played 9 test matches at this historic venue, never won, with 4 defeats and 5 draws. India's highest team total at this venue, 432 all out, came in 1990. Mohammad Azharuddin dazzled with a sublime 179, the highest individual score by an Indian at Old Trafford. Sunil Gavaskar remains India's top scorer here with 242 runs, while Sachin Tendulkar's average of 187 is the best among Indian batters. But it hasn't always been pretty. In 1952, India folded for just 58 all out and suffered their biggest defeat by an innings and 207 runs. Despite defeats, some bowlers left their mark. Dilip Doshi recorded India's best innings figures here, 6 for 102 in 1982. Lala Amarnath claimed the best match haul, 8 for 167 in 1946. Vino Mankar tops the wicket charts for India at the venue with 9 wickets. Behind the stumps, Farokh Engineer stands out with 7 dismissals, while Sunil Gavaskar took the most catches, 5. The most iconic stand at the venue is a 203-run partnership for the first wicket between Syed Mushtaq Ali and Vijay Merchant in 1936. Old Trafford remains an unclaimed territory, but history doesn't just repeat, it's waiting to be rewritten. Will England seal the series in 4th test itself, or will India bounce back, level the series 2-2? One thing which is guaranteed is that Manchester is set for a blockbuster encounter. Sports Desk, DD India.
Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, get the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. Available on Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code and download it now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. My name is Mark Lin. Thank you very much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.